Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Why you so stressed? It's not that serious. And free your mind. It's gonna be alright. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe. Find a tribe.
You're tuned into Glory 93.9 FM. It's officially Girl Talk time here, y'all, on this beautiful Thursday. Oh my goodness. It is the 23rd day of September, and it feels like it's been a minute since we've been here. But listen, I'm so happy to be back. It's been a while, y'all. I know I've been gone for a minute. I was getting a much needed break, but I'm back in live and living color. Listen, it's a beautiful day to be alive. It's a beautiful day to celebrate the fact that God still allowed us to be here today because purpose is still alive and well on the inside of us. He's still lending us his breath. And listen to me, I am just so grateful that he's not done with me yet. And I pray that you too can take that same posture. Hey, Telsey, thank you so much. Listen, it's been a minute, but it's so good to be back, y'all. I don't know what y'all been doing. I don't know what's been going on with y'all. I don't know how life has been, but I pray that you have had a moment to celebrate the goodness of God while you were here in the land of the living. And yeah, it is an exciting time for us. So listen, I'm going to dive right into introducing our guest today. I gotta do it like how I usually do every week. Usually I'll tell you how I know this lady. So, hey, Shaquinda. So it's so interesting the way that life works out. There are many people who could brag about knowing me as a singer, as all of these other things that I do, youth pastor, all this other stuff. This girl know me when I wasn't wearing no makeup, when I was in school uniform, looking like an old beat up Lord Jesus. When I couldn't hide my acne with makeup and wasn't wearing weave and thing. wasn't beat down to the gods. Raquel has known me for a really, really long time, and she definitely could say she watched me mature. And it's been an interesting journey to see how God has allowed our paths to recollide after all of these years. So we went to high school together. We went to Temple Christian together. She graduated a few years in front of me. And it's so interesting. The memories that I have of Raquel, she always used to be like, girl, you sing, girl. Like, and she was always such an encourager. She was always that person that was in the corner, like cheering you on. And it's so true what Maya Angelou says. She says, people may forget the things that you say and do, but they will never forget the way that you make them feel. And that's one of the things that our guest today has left on my life. She's left an imprint on my life where I may forget what she would have said, but I can never forget the way that she made me feel. And so I'm excited for today's show because it's kind of a little bit like nostalgic for me. But then again, our paths have collided in the now and in the most recent past as well. When I would have spent some time as a member of Shabak alongside her. So we've kind of crossed paths in many different ways. And now here we are sitting in a radio station because my girl going to write a book. What a time in the earth. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some of you, and just the rest of y'all already know her. So I mean, it ain't like, I really introducing her to y'all. But ladies and gentlemen, Raquel Mintz. Hey Kelly, what you saying?
Hey Marisha, I am well. How
You
are
good?
you?
I good, man. I good. Pull that mic a little closer to you for me, please, so we can
I got
Yeah,
it.
you sure? Let me bring the volume up a little bit. I know it's a little rough, a little stubborn.
Yeah, a little tight.
Yeah. They pull just yeah. There you go. Good stuff. What you saying?
I am well with you. Say now, mind you now. I don't say I know you when you had all your acne and stuff. You still was popping, girl.
Yeah.
Girl, you
I was
still.
looking. Listen to me. I was looking at some pictures the other day when I was in high school, and I was like, "Lord Jesus, I thank
Thank
you for
God
the
for the
glow
level
up."
up.
Oh my gosh! I thank God for the glow up. My skin was colorful. Oh my gosh! I
However,
had
let's not go back to the
Jesus.
past. We're
Listen,
moving forward in faith.
listen, listen. So, oh man, Raquel, it's so good to have you here. We were talking a little bit off air. It's just so awesome to have you here. I'm excited about today's conversation, and I'm gonna ask you guys before we get started, like and share the show, y'all. Like and share the show. I don't say that enough. And we got a little, I guess you could say, a little contest competition situation before we dive into our conversation. Raquel, of course, is here to talk about her book. And I mean, logically, we got to give a book away. I mean, like,
Of
we just
course.
got to do it. So let's do it like this. We're going to put the numbers up here at the bottom of the screen. And we're going to say, let's go with number two. The second person, the second person to send a text or a WhatsApp message to 828-2543. Again, that number is 828-2543. To text affirm her to that number will win the book. Yes, you will win this lovely book. I got my own coffee today, so I'm so excited to dive into this. So you're going to text affirm her to 828-2543. The second person to send a text to 828-2543 gets to win their own copy, signed copy of affirm her. All right, so let's let's dive right into today's conversation. I remember watching um all of the stuff pop up on social media, and I was like, Raquel write a book, and I saw you posting these pictures, and I got all this. I was like, wow. I was like watching. I said, okay, so okay, Raquel doing big things. I said, this is cool. I said, so she don't just sing and dance. She's right. She's right too. And I just remember observing, what I observed was how many women were gravitating toward you. That's what I observed. And I was like, oh wow, this looks pretty cool. This looks pretty amazing. We got messages coming in. These people ain't joking. Okay, that's one message. Number one. Hopefully number two comes in, because number two will be the winner. And if number one message again and becomes number two, then you win. All right. So yeah, and I remember looking at it and I remember saying, like, wow, this is amazing. This is so awesome. And then when we were initially going to do the show, before we had to postpone the show, I just remember like being in awe of how many people that I knew that you also knew who were sharing the flyer for the show. And I was like, wow, like she really has like major impact. And then I started to look at some of your posts and read through some of your posts, and I was like, you know what? I have to get Raquel on the show. I got to get Raquel on the show. So tell us, like, where did this whole um conversation start? Where did it begin? How did we get to this place now where you have a book in hand and women are gravitating toward you, toward your words? How did we get here?
So, to be honest with you, the book itself, Affirmer, all started in 2020. Of
Okay.
course, the year 2020 for everyone was like a stop, pause, reflect,
Yeah.
introspect kind of year.
Yeah.
And let's backtrack a little bit. From a child, or like you said, even in high school, I was always
Mhm.
this encourager. So I realized even in youth ministry and doing different things, I was always, or young women was always gravitated to me in terms of leadership and
Mhm. Mhm.
motivating them to be who and what they were called to be.
Mhm.
So I've never drifted from that. So 2020 was my year. Of course, the world stopped. And of course, the competent authority told us stay inside your house
Yeah.
at this hour or do not come out at all.
Right.
So I had a lot of time to think about this thing. And I had a conversation with God. Okay, God, what is it? I know my purpose. I've
Mhm.
known my purpose for years now,
Mhm.
but I want to now put this purpose in perspective so that more people can be impacted by
That's
it.
good.
So I then had a conversation. What do I do? I know what I'm called to do. I know women are always drawn to me in some way. How then can I package this purpose to be a bit
Mm.
more impactful for the masses? You know
I
what I
love
mean?
it. I love
So
it.
well, that's what I did. And I sat and I sat. There was Dr. Melissa Hall. She had this thing on Facebook she did every Thursday evening. She
I
had a thing
remember.
called
Yes.
Reset My Personal Economy.
Yes.
And every Thursday, I would be live in living color on that live and
Right.
just grasping everything that I could have grasped, everything. And it was really a time for me to reset. You
Right.
know what?
Right.
Touch that reset button, recalibrate, and let's get this truck
Right.
moving again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what happened for Raquel. I stopped, I paused, I said, okay, God, I know my purpose. Where is this going?
Mm-hmm.
Then she had this master class from that Reset Your Personal Economy that forced us to really sit and think of your purpose and how you can
Nice.
bring this forth in a different way, even if it causes you to put yourself in places of monetary gain. That's what I did. So I had a conversation with God. We talked, we talked, we talked. I know everything that I did. Of course, most of my posts are very drawn out and long. So persons always say, girl, you need to write this book. You need to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
never was one
Mm-hmm.
to be pressured by words from other people.
Right.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Either let God come and tell me, hey, 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 it's time. Or I'll feel that nudge to know that it's time to move, as opposed to persons just forcing me into something.
Yeah.
And in pausing and doing my own introspection, I realized that there was a book inside of me.
Wow.
Even in COVID, I realized I had a conversation with God and I told God, okay, God, I want something. Give me something. What is that thing that's going
Mm-hmm.
to cause there to be change, not only for me, but for
Mm-hmm.
those that I have to minister to? And there came, I heard aim, well, affirm, inspire, and motivate came to me, but
Mm-hmm.
it came IAM to me. It's like, Holy Spirit, that ain't making much sense to me. Like,
Right.
what is that? Anyway, prayed again. Long story short, I woke up the following morning. This was August 8th, 2020, 8:08. Never forget my morning of new beginnings. I woke up with aim. Just transpose the letters, Raquel, aim. So it
Wow.
then birthed a movement, affirm, aim her,
Mm-hmm.
affirm, inspire, and motivate her. And from there, Affirm Her, the book was birthed from that first platform
Nice.
of being affirmed or affirming her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the book itself came from. And just over that time, I just started to write. And that's when I
Wow.
knew it pretty much was God, because there were no hiccups in writing. Some days I wrote, because it's a 31-day book of affirmations. Some
Nice.
days I set my calendar to write a affirmation a day. Some days I wrote two, some days I wrote three. Now, sometimes I would go
Wow.
back and erase and change whatever,
Yeah.
but it was
Mm-hmm.
just so divine that I realized and I knew this was God. And then
Wow.
thereafter the book was birthed, I realized persons like you, other persons, I was just on everybody fly. And I was like, hold on, wait, what, God, what happened? Slow down, slow down. Like, let me catch up. And God was like, I was
Yeah.
just waiting on you to make the
Yeah.
first
Wow. That's
move.
beautiful.
Like, just give me a yes. I can finish the rest. You don't have to
Wow.
work at all. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just literally no boast or nothing of my own. It was pretty much a God move. And this is where we are.
It's so amazing to hear you tell that story because for so many of us, we don't see the realization of our purpose or the plan that God has for our lives manifesting um, in a seamless way.
Mm.
We often, we hesitate because we wonder, oh, like, is it the right time? And we hesitate for so many other reasons. And so your story is so inspirational because it pushes us as women. There's something on the inside of each and every one of us. There's an audience out there. I used to say this every day in the earlier days of Glory 93.9, that there's someone out there, an audience out there that is awaiting us to make the decision to walk in the God-given purpose for our
Very
lives.
true.
And this audience has been fashioned specifically for us. And who knows, somebody's salvation, somebody's life transformation is in your hands, in the decision that you make to walk in purpose. So this is so cool. This is amazing. I say congratulations to you
Thank you so
as your
much.
girlfriend. I'm in awe of what God is doing in and through your life. And so let's talk about it. Let's dive into this. I know that um for me as a woman, I have been learning how to be intentional with how I talk to myself because as women we cannot be so kind to ourselves. We
We could be. We are our
we
greatest
yeah,
critic.
we're our greatest
We
critic,
are.
and we will find the things that's wrong with us before we celebrate the things that are going well.
Very true.
And one of the things that God has been teaching me is that I tell people how to speak to me by the way I speak to myself, and it might not necessarily be a conversation that I have in front of an individual, but He's been showing me that how I value myself is how others will value me. And so if I devalue myself, then I will be devalued by others. And one of, I think, the greatest difficulties for us as women is we do the things for ourselves. Like we get our hair done, we get our nails done, we take care of ourselves. But a lot of times we take care of the woman on the outside
Exterior.
and we leave the woman on the inside, the mess that she is, where her mind is all
So
over
we
the
dress up
place.
a broken woman.
Exactly. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on the inside that we don't make the time to process because we're too busy trying to be all things to everyone else. Especially if we're married and we have kids, we're trying to make sure that the kids have everything that they need, that hubby has everything that he needs. And then for some of us, we're taking care of older parents or other family members, and then our jobs are demanding. And then for those of us who are believers, we got volunteer stuff that we doing in church, and you know, we got all of this stuff going on, but we don't take time to really deal with who we really are. And one of the, I guess you could say, the backdrops of this show is to push us and force us as women to pause for a second and take a look at what's really going on with you right now. Like, okay, why did you snap? Why did you feel in that moment like you needed to scream?
Where'd that
Like,
come from?
what was really
Where's the
going
root?
on?
Where's
Like,
the root of that
'cause
thing?
it's not because your child left a toy in the middle of the ground.
Nope.
No, because they do that every day.
It's a child.
There's there's nothing different about their behavior, but your reaction to the behavior all of a sudden was different. So where did that come from? What triggered that? What's behind those tears that you're hiding, that you don't want anyone to see? And so you're in bed next to your husband, but your backs are turned to one another and you're in tears. What's behind that? Like, what's behind all of these things that we don't do that we know we should do? Like, why aren't you taking care of your body? Like, why aren't you nurturing your friendships, your relationships? All of these things that we kind of take a note of as we go through life, but we don't really like actually attack it at the root. And so I looked at the topic of your book and I was like, this is so good. This is so, like, it's so simple.
Needed.
It's so clear. It's so straight and to the point. Like, sweetie, you need to affirm yourself, boo. Like, it
That's it,
begins
and that's all.
there.
That is it.
It begins
is all.
there. But the reality is, Raquel, it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. I was the post-it lipstick on the mirror girl for a while, right? And then of course when technology took over our lives, I became like the biggest techie ever, right? So I got like these alarms that go off in my phone. I have a friend of mine, he teases me all the time because I have an alarm that goes off on my phone that says "Smile, Marisha." And whenever we would go to lunch, he'd be like, "Why you have this thing on your phone telling you to smile?" I say, "Because sometimes I sit down and, you know, I got a little rest and be face on, you know, so I gotta fix
I gotta fix that.
I gotta fix that, you know." And so doing things to remind myself of who I am, of what it is that God has called me to do, is always easy to do when things are good.
Very true.
I can affirm myself. I can be like, "You're beautiful, you're amazing, you're going to do great things. You've been called to so much." And it's so easy to affirm ourselves when everything is going well. It's in the dark times, in the difficulties, in the situations, in the circumstances of life when they begin to overwhelm us, that affirmation isn't necessarily as easy. It's not as easy. And we find ourselves in competition with the noise of the negativity. It's louder than the truth. The lies that the situation has highlighted or even the truth that the situation has highlighted becomes louder than the thing that we need to actually pull ourselves out of it. And how do we as women get ourselves out of that dark place?
It's interesting that you would say that because before this digital world where picture taking was so easy,
Yes.
we all know that it's in the dark that the negatives are developed.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the dark places that we find out who we are.
Yes.
It's not until you need to be strong that you know how strong you really are.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the writing of this book was in one of the roughest patches of my life.
Wow.
The writings of this book was when a lot of parts of my life felt as if they were falling apart.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I found myself, I had to then go inside because, for one, I knew who I was, and the situations around me still did not or didn't detract from Raquel. I knew who I was, and a lot of times we as women, we tend to, like you said, and when you started, we want to be this superhero. We want to be superwoman in every area. And there's a part in the book where I mentioned how we want to be the super employee, the super boss, the super wife, the super mom, the super soccer mom. Like you want to be everything to everybody. However, the woman that's going to be or supposed to be super to all these people, she caves in at the end of the day when the baby's asleep. When the daddy's at work, when the job isn't going as planned, she made a bad decision on the job. She caves in because she was not filling that void within herself, or affirming her first. Because I have now, most of my post says affirm her first, because my thing is I can't pour from an empty cup.
That's so good.
We tend to pour and pour and pour. If you keep pouring and you're not filling that back up, like a child, I always tell Kai, I just spent money. I didn't get it right away. I have to. He said, you have to get paid again. Yes, I have to get paid again. And there's a time frame for me to get paid again. So there's a time frame for you to now fill back up on what you've poured out. But we feel as if we can pour and pour. Why? Because one, we're women, we're nurturers. We can handle a lot. We really can handle a lot. But at the end of the day, there comes a time like you did with the space in between girl talks where you needed to pause.
Definitely.
You needed to regroup. You needed to recalibrate. You needed to reset. You needed to start again to come back refreshed. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes women think, oh, I have to be everything for everyone. While we can do that, that's not always the best thing to do. That's not always the best space to be in. So most of my posts, especially, I know I had a post during Valentine's talking about loving everybody else, but love you first.
Yes.
And I posted everything that I'm a part of. I posted my spouse. I posted my child. I posted my ministry. I posted my job. I love all of them. But I gotta love me first.
That's good.
Because for me to be able to give 100, Raquel has to be filled first. Raquel has to be fueled first.
Yes.
So that's what we do. We pour so much, but who is pouring into you? Especially if you don't have a tribe of women or a tribe that knows when you're weak or knows when you're down or knows when you need that push. If I'm the only one being the motivator, man, I need some more people in my tribe to motivate me when I'm down. But that's what we need as women. If we realize, but a lot of times because of this social media driven world, we find that we compete with other women. Especially if they're not in our immediate tribe or our immediate circle. We're trying to compete. Man, stay in your lane.
Yes.
Stay in your lane. You cause collisions, accidents, everything else when you drift. Stay in your lane.
Yes.
In a regular race, Olympics, you disqualified.
It's true.
If you run into, stay in your lane. If God is calling you to do or write a book, how many books are there? How many books are there? There are libraries. There are archives with books. And I come up with another book for someone to write. It isn't just that I wanted to write a book. It was just God said, this is the time for women. And it's not a matter of, oh, there's some new revelation. No, because the church been declaring and decreeing for days. It's the same thing. But you do it for your personal life. Affirming that person who God has called. Pulling that young child. Pulling that little girl who dreamt bigger than big when she was a child. But as we grew up and we saw reality, as we grew up and we weren't married at 25, as we grew up and we realized I didn't have my bachelor's by 21, we realized that our dreams weren't panning out. Our dreams became smaller and smaller. No, man. Go back to that little girl who dreamed that she could have the world. Go back to that little girl
Wow.
who dreamed that nothing was impossible.
That's good.
Go back to that little girl who said, my daddy could get it for me. Because as a
Yeah.
child, my mommy always told me, if she couldn't afford it, my daddy could get it for me. My daddy, my daddy.
Yes.
Go back
Yes.
to that childlike faith that you had.
Yeah.
Find her, that little girl in you. And I reference her in different spaces in the book, but find her because she dreamt big as a child.
Yes, she did.
It's only when we stepped into reality, we got our job, we got our car, we got the payments, we got the creditors calling us that we realized, oh Lord,
Yeah, Jesus.
my dreams ain't panning out. This ain't working out. And we
Yeah.
shut that little girl down when she
Yeah.
wants to live. She wants to
Yeah.
thrive even when you are a woman. And she can do that. Even if she has to detour, even if she
Yes.
took a different road, she
Yes.
wants to live because she realized that there was no dream too big.
And it's so amazing how you said what you said because one of the things that I was just sharing with our young people last week Friday, I told them that I went off to college at age 21. I graduated with a double bachelor's degree at age 25.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to have my bachelor's degree at age
Mhm.
21. I'm 33, y'all. I still single. And let me tell y'all something. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who has two kids. And I told her, I was like, you know what? Before the pandemic, I was really jealous of you. I was like, now I good.
I,
I am
I
so
good.
good. I said, God, you know what I can handle.
You know all things.
You know, and you knew that I was just not at the place, not quite yet, where I think I could have. To the women out there who had to be, who still have to be teacher,
Mhm.
mummy,
And still employer,
and and
i.e.
clean
me.
and snack 1, 2, 3, 4 in between breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Listen to me. I bow to y'all. I bow to y'all. Because listen to me. When I go home to my bed, I just go sleep.
Listen, last year when Kai got his certificate, I wanted them to put my name on that.
I know,
certificate.
right?
We worked for this baby. We went to school together.
I think
I really
I
wanted
think
my name to be on that certificate.
it's so important for us to understand that like God knows the plans that He has for us. It's a scripture, it's a poster scripture for youth group. They always say that to young people, like, you know, God knows the plans that He has for you. But listen to me, I'm 33 years old and I'm grateful that He knows the plans that He has for me and that things didn't go according to how I had planned it because I would have
Mhm.
been somebody ma right now and I really know it just ain't right,
And on
Lord.
top of that scripture, my new scripture is now, when the time is right,
I the Lord will
I,
make it
the Lord,
happen.
will make it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
He know the
yeah.
plan. So when the time is right, I, the Lord, but we want to rush because social media has leveled us to a degree that we have to compare, compete,
Yes.
conform, everything else that's
Yes.
not God. We have to do this because we are trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Keep
And
up.
scripture tells us that comparison is the thief of joy. And it is a fulfillment that we're robbing ourselves of when we choose to constantly compare ourselves to other people's journeys. There are no two journeys that are alike. And that's one of the things that I love about being a believer. I I went to Bible college. So one of the things that I was exposed to were other religions, of course, because I mean you have to
Mhm.
be well rounded as a
Mhm.
student, right? So we were exposed to other religions and the thing that stood out to me, I'm not sure what my other classmates would have felt like, but the thing that stood out to me, Raquel, was that these other religions seemed to make clones of individuals. So everybody had to dress the same way, everybody had to look the same way, everybody had to worship the same time in the same way with the same posture, with the same words. And it hit me when I was inside a Hindu temple and I looked at these millions of gods that the Hindus worship. They have millions of gods, but all of them dress the same way
Mhm.
when they address their millions of gods. They all posture themselves to worship in the same way.
Wow.
And one of the things that stood out to me, and I began to thank God for it, and it's so amazing because I'm in a Hindu temple. And I turn around and I'm thanking God, like, thank you that as a Christian, I don't have to look
Like everyone
like
else.
everyone else. I don't have
Mhm.
to be like everyone else. I don't have to shut down like the Muslims at 12 every hour on the hour, get my mat and bend down on the ground and be doing the same things over and over and over again so I could believe I have some sort of connection with Allah. I don't have to do that.
Nope.
I can say in my office in the middle of the day, I could just kundala bakashiti the
Uh-huh.
bokundai. Or
Uh-huh.
I could be on the line in the bank with my mask on, praying in tongues. And because my
Listen,
mask on, you would know what's
you
going
don't know
on. You would know what I dealing with. You would know what I going through.
what I putting
I
down in there.
you would know what door I try to open, what situation I try to fix, and then I could have moments where I'm just sitting quietly in the presence of God and I'm just soaking in who he is
Hmm.
and what it is here, trying to posture myself to hear what it is that he wants to say to me right there and then in that moment. And then there are times when I could just be in the presence of God laughing my head off
Okay.
and or just sitting down with people
And
and
he is there.
and he is ever present, and I don't have to conform to this idea of what a Christian should look like.
Hmm.
And I think for so many of us, we pattern ourselves according to other people's standards that we don't take the time, especially as women,
Hmm.
to seek out who is it that God has called you to
To
be?
be.
What is it that he is saying concerning you? Because it's different. There may be similarities in what Raquel has been called to do and what I've been called to do, but our audiences are completely different. Our calling looks very different. We were talking off air just now. Raquel was like, Marisha, all the things you balance and I know how you doing it. I looking at her like, well, mom, you got a husband and a child and a job. I don't know how you doing that. And we can look at one another, see that she's been graced to do what she's doing. I'm graced to do what I'm doing, and I ain't mad at you.
At all.
You
At
know what?
all.
You do you.
You do you, and I can do me.
You do you. And I ain't jealous. Listen, I ain't coveted. I ain't envious. Like for real. Like I celebrate all that you are, all that you're doing. But I think that our difficulty in patterning our lives after what God has called us to do comes from the
No.
element of comparison, not knowing what it is that God has for us to do. And then unfortunately, because as the generations change, as we go from generation, I guess you could say X, like the post baby boomers into
Mhm.
millennials and then into generation Z, the way the generations progress, we've become like the microwave generation times 10.
Mm.
So we don't want to wait. We don't want to use the oven. We
Nope.
want to use the microwave.
Microwave.
So, for those of y'all who old school like me and Raquel, when food heat on the stove, that is be
lasts
hot
longer.
for at least an hour. But when you put that food in the microwave, 2 seconds later, the food's still in the microwave. You won't take the food in the microwave and it done cold. And it's what our lives look
Mhm.
like. We want things to happen right away with the
Instant.
snap of our fingers. So, we want to be superstars and we want millions of people to have our book 2 days after we wrote it.
Mhm.
And we don't want to go through process. We don't want to take the time to understand who it is that God has called us to be. So as a result of that, we definitely can't affirm ourselves, let alone other people,
Mhm.
because we're lost. And life has dictated our path, not God.
Sure enough.
Life has dictated. And now we find ourselves in this position where we feel like our lives have been completely taken over by a pandemic and the new day. And you know our hope, our faith and trust is in the changing of the guard and the changing of seasons, and not the one who holds times and seasons in his hands.
So true.
It is for me, Raquel, the greatest tragedy when a woman can see the worth in another woman so much so that she would like to compare herself and pattern her life after that woman, but she's completely blind to the gift that's on the inside of
Of her.
her. It's a great tragedy for me to see that, because we are all so beautifully unique.
If we tap into that and to
Yeah.
explore that, you know what it is to find who you are, your worth internally for you and for me to do the same. And we all fulfilling
Mhm,
purpose
mhm.
individually. You know what that is? As a collective body, as opposed to be trying to either be like Marisha or pull down Marisha.
Or
No, no.
outshine,
Or
right?
outshine her. You know what is you know what that is for you to shine. We all shine. Like there's a meme that says, we all can shine. Like I can encourage you or encourage you and I still be lit. There's
Yes,
no
yes.
you still could be, and I still could be lit if I encourage you
Yeah,
there. That's not taking anything from me to say, hey, Marisha, girl, you
yeah,
look good. You
yeah.
look nice. Some people even find it hard to compliment people.
We probably can't compliment ourselves though.
That's a tragedy. That's a
Yeah,
tragedy. A lot of us, for
yeah.
real, on a large scale, some women they find it hard to pull themselves together.
Yes,
They find
yes.
it very hard to do that. I don't know why. For whatever reason, there may be past issues or
Yeah.
hurts, failures, or whatever, but
Mhm.
that causes them to shut down as women as opposed to shining, because your past may be the roadmap to my future. But because you afraid to jump out of that box, you stay
Yeah.
there and you stay stuck. Throw that box away. Get out of that.
Mm.
Step out of that. There's a world to live in and not just your box and your bubble.
I think one of the things that's so difficult too for us is we like to know
Very true.
what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
As women, we like to be in control of
Mm-hmm.
situations. We want to dictate this is what's going to happen when I make this call.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we make the call and it don't happen, we be like, hold on, wait now, wait. I think for me, I don't know what it's like for you, Raquel, but this journey that I've been on in diving even deeper into who God has called me to be and trying to live out my purpose, I realized that there are certain things that you feel like you've conquered. And then when you transition into a new season of your life, you realize, no, boo,
No.
you didn't really get it.
Yeah, no. You already, yeah.
You-
You already.
have several
A
seats.
little bit more. A little bit more time, eh?
Have several seats. Just chill for a second because no, no,
No.
you won't got it yet.
No.
And some lessons that we have to relearn. And for one of them for me is learning to love myself in every season,
Mm-hmm.
in every version,
Mm-hmm.
through the mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
through the successes and the triumphs,
Mm-hmm.
through the celebrations and the moments when you're not being celebrated, through the, I guess you could say, the changing of seasons. I
Yes.
think that it is so easy to get caught up in the mess
Mm-hmm.
that we forget to step back and look at the
And find the message in that
the
mess.
possibility of it being a beautiful mosaic,
Yes.
right? So we're often stuck in and we have this subjective view of what's
Mm-hmm.
going on because we're in it. And we can't really look at it objectively. And so we need somebody else to come and be like, girl, you don't see what you're doing? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, this is amazing. This is incredible. And we're not really affirming ourselves based upon our posture and our view and what we see. We're affirming ourselves based upon what somebody
Somebody else
else
said.
sees. And the I think the trouble with that is our truth is based upon somebody else's no opinion
Mm-hmm.
and not the reality of who we really are in
Mm-hmm.
God, who God has called us to be. Right? So I think for some of us as women, we sometimes we have to kind of take a step back and like look at our lives from a place of objectivity and say, hey, okay, remember when you thought you had the self-esteem thing dealt with and you was like, you won't going back to
Mm-hmm.
this place where you hate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden you get this new job now and you weren't really that good at it, so the thoughts
Back
start
there.
coming up again, and now you find yourself back there and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I get back here?
Didn't deal with that.
Because you didn't deal with it, not from the root. You dealt with it according to the situation that you were in at that moment
Mm-hmm.
in time. You didn't deal with it from at its core,
Mm-hmm.
where your difficulty is believing that you're great point blank, period.
Period.
Not just that you're great at this or great at that,
Mm-hmm.
but that there's greatness on the inside of you, Period. Period. Tell us, Raquel, what can we look forward to in this devotional in this book?
So there are, like I said, it's 31 days of affirmation. Some persons use them as a devotional, and some persons just, I've had persons they're going back and reaffirming every other day. They've already exhausted their 30 when they say, man, I gotta keep
Wow.
going back. I gotta keep going back.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so there are 31 affirmations, like I said. So I'll just go through two of my most favorite
Okay.
in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one that says, what we all have to learn is, I affirm that I'm not for everyone. First of all,
Interesting.
as women, we feel like we gotta do and be for everybody. If she don't like me, oh, I gotta find some. No, she's just not for you, or you're not for her, and that's it.
That's okay.
That's okay. So a part of the book says, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but that's the great part. I don't have to be. And if we were to realize that, we would then begin to fill cups that we're meant to fill. Everybody don't even drink tea.
You're right.
Some
You're
people don't like
absolutely
coffee.
right.
They only want water or juice.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to be everyone's cup of tea?
Yeah, that's good.
Find your space, find your cup, and be able to fill that where needed. Those that are not able to, who think you're too much, you too extra, you too this, you too that, they're not your people. You
And
will
that's
find,
fine.
and that is fine. But because we cannot do things that would gravitate or that would draw attention from a certain caliber of people or from a certain grouping of people, we feel as if, oh, I have to do something with myself. No, those
Yeah.
are not your people. We live up, and I tell you again, social media has played a
Yes, she is.
strong role in trying to fit into spaces that you were not meant to fit in.
So
You were
good.
not meant to fit in. So just understanding that you are not for everyone starts with actually knowing, one, who you are.
Yeah.
But we have to do this. Working on something now with little girls, and I guess we'll see it soon on Facebook,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
with little girls and affirming them from a young age. And like I
That's
said,
so
going
good.
back to the little girl, because a lot of times we lose who we are because of now issues within our adult years, that we lose who
Yes.
we are. But if
Yes.
I were to affirm you from your 2, if I were to affirm you from you are 5, if I were to affirm you and make you or force you to affirm yourself from childhood, you could go when you reach 21, no one could tell you who you are.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable, because I've been doing this. I born doing this.
I know, right?
I've been affirmed, and I'm also now affirming myself. But because we've lost touch with that little girl, we allow the world to dictate to
Yeah.
us who and what we
Yeah.
should be.
Mhm.
There are other affirmations in the book that speaks, I guess, to the woman and telling you who you are, who you've been called to be. Like, I'm beautiful, resilient, I'm a treasure, I'm a solution, I'm powerful, I'm worth it. Many things that we as women don't believe. Why? Because again, we are comparing ourselves to someone who
Yeah.
may be a little level up from us. We're comparing ourselves to someone who's did it better, who's doing it greater. We're comparing too much.
Yeah.
So to find that I'm worth it, we stand back and we realize, am I really worth it? You begin to doubt now your own worth. Mind you, you may have different stuff stacked up against you. However, that does not disqualify you from being worth it.
That's good.
Whatever the cost is, I am worth it. If I'm to go into this space and this place, I am worth whatever that level is, I'm worth it. And if my worth is you're not able to afford me, you too, you're not my person.
It's okay.
It's okay. But
It's
we have
okay.
to be okay with that
Yeah,
being okay.
Yeah.
Because we always want to gravitate and to be drawn and be loved and be someone have to affirm us, or someone have to make us feel as if, okay, yeah, we have to always be pat on our back, always get a clap. Trust me, if you don't clap for me, I still gonna win.
That's good.
If you don't clap for me, you not clapping may do me a good thing, because that might be just so I can see. That's like a double tap or the like on Facebook. You liking my post on Facebook don't really mean you like me,
That's really good.
But we're moved so much by that double tap on Instagram and that like. We're moved so much because social media has told us that, hey, many people, of course, let's just use birthdays, for example. I can't tell you when half of these people's birthdays is, but because my Facebook tells me, hey, Marisha's birthday today, happy birthday. I ain't talked to you in years. I probably don't even like you. But
This is
just
true.
because I've been
Yeah.
reminded, and everybody else, let me just throw this in there so you
Yeah.
wouldn't feel like I have a vibe with you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So me affirming myself as a woman from a child, or even now, if you start now, that's fine. But affirming myself without your like, I'm still going to win. Without your clap, I'm still going to win. Without your
Mm.
kudos, I'm still great. Without your love and your support, I'm still going to thrive. I'm still resilient. I'm still
Mhm.
that beautiful girl
Mhm.
that God has created. I'm
Yeah.
still gonna live unapologetically me. That was my second one that I really liked.
Yes, I
I
love
am
that.
unapologetically me. A lot of times we use our in that particular chapter, I spoke about how we use our what we would call our flaws or our failures, as let's say if it's size or
Mhm.
our blemishes on
Mhm.
our face or we
Mhm.
don't look the part. We use that
Mhm.
against us. That's your plus. Because why? Why you want to be like everybody else? If God made everyone like everybody else, if we were all alike, then what's the point? What is the
Yeah.
point? You were made to be you. So I want you to be you and do you for you
And just
unapologetically.
do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Someone else benefits from you being you. If I don't be Raquel, who gonna be Raquel?
Who's gonna do it?
Who gonna be Marisha sitting up here but girl talk, not Raquel. It ain't about to be me. But who is going to do it if you
Yeah.
don't do it?
Yeah.
We cave in
Yeah.
and we shut. Because even with this whole platform now with me, I've always told persons I love the background. I do not like spotlight. And many persons don't believe that, but I do not like spotlight. All this headphones and mic and things, it's not me. Let me work for you in the background. I don't even care if you don't call my name. Let
Wow.
me work the background and make you look good. That's how I always was. I don't need to be. You don't have to say, "Oh yes, Raquel, help me with that." Whatever. I'm not moved by that. I will always love to be the background. So this was never to be put on someone's stage or to go on. I'm not
Wow.
there. So even with God pulling me into this, I'm like, hold on, God. Like, you really calling me to do all of this? Like you calling me to be on someone's stage? No, no, let me just sit with the youth in the back. That was
Wow.
always Raquel. And
Wow.
because I'm being now pulled into different arenas or pulled into different spaces, I'm realizing, okay, you've been graced for it. I put it there, and I'm not going to put you somewhere that I've not gifted you to perform in, or minister in, or be graced to impact in. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that type of God.
I want to get some comments in here, but something that you said is so incredible because you talked about how it's so not you, and my testimony is so different. I've been in front of people from I was 2 years old. It's just
Yep,
how it is.
that's just
So
how it
I
is.
don't have that. Oh, I don't want to be in front of people. I rather be in the background.
Mhm,
Now there are moments when I'm like, yeah, let me just go in my corner and sit small. But the reality is, I from first knew who I was, my life was always about standing in front of a
mhm,
crowd.
mhm,
Whether I would sing, whether I would talk, whether I was in some sort of leadership position, I was always in front of people.
mhm,
So I don't know what it's like to be in the background.
mhm.
So being in the background is hard for me.
Wow.
It's difficult for me. And so it's interesting how the different dynamics of who we are can dictate to how different our journeys are.
Mhm,
Because for me, and I definitely want to dive into this question that Yasmin has here because it's so important. For me, one of my greatest challenges is posturing myself in humility constantly because
yes,
I thrive from the stage.
that is my constant prayer now. God, don't let me lose Raquel because this
Yeah.
is here and this is pulling me this place and pulling me that place. I don't ever want to lose Raquel. Why? Because this was not Raquel's doing.
Yasmin says, sometimes affirmed women develop a sense of entitlement. How do we ensure we are balanced with our affirming? So, before you answer that question, this is something that I talk about all the time with my girlfriends. I always say, y'all tell
Mm-hmm.
your girlfriend the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let her walk out the
Mm-hmm.
house thinking her eyebrows fixed when they ain't fixed.
Pull her in, please. Pull
Pull
her in.
her and tell her, no, sweetie, go put on some Spanx because I could see your
Okay.
rolls and that dress. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is something that I've only noticed in my travels. Mind you, I haven't traveled in every country, but I've been to a few countries. Listen to me. There are no women in the world like Bahamian women. Okay?
Be different now.
We have this confidence. Dress up,
Mm-hmm.
dress right
Mm-hmm.
up. And like, no, somebody couldn't tell you not to put this weave on your hair and you
Okay.
won't brush this hair, but It's interesting that Yasmin asked that question because I think sometimes we can be so confident in our affirming of ourselves that we become imbalanced and almost it's like a stench.
We
It's
become
like
imbalanced and
prideful.
it's intimidating to some degree.
Yes.
Women, the thing is, finding a balance comes with a lot of times too, when you're overpowered or when you're overpowering with this affirmation or affirming yourself, you feel as if you are fearless. So I'm above everyone
Yes.
else.
Yes.
That's not the point. That's not
Mhm.
the point of you affirming who you are. That's not the point of saying, I am this and you're not this. That is not the point of you. The point of affirming you doesn't speak to making myself
Mhm.
level up more than someone else. That doesn't
Mhm.
define you or make you. That just tells you that, hey, I have the capacity, the capability to be and do what God has called me to do.
Yes. Yes.
Not that I am or my character or I am on level 5 and you're still on 1 because I'm affirmed. That does not qualify you for anything.
Mhm.
That does not qualify you to win the Olympic, to do any, that doesn't qualify you. You're in the running for nothing.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's a self thing for you to feel as if I can and I will. Not that
Yeah.
I am entitled because
That's
of
good.
me being in. What are you entitled to? Because me being the minister in church and the dancer in church and walking the straight and narrow path, what I that never disqualified me from walking through process.
That's good.
And why I thought when I thought that, hey, okay, God, I'm not a bad person. I walk in right. I doing all these things, but some parts of my life in shambles or what I felt
Yeah.
like was in shambles,
Yeah.
that didn't disqualify me from that. What we think as if, so you affirming yourself, telling yourself, I am beautiful, I am resilient, I am strong every day, doesn't say that one day you could feel like a mess.
It's true.
And that one day you're not going to feel like you're as resilient
Mhm.
or you're strong enough or you're becoming still this you're blossoming into someone that God has called you to be. Not every day is going to be that day,
Mhm.
but it's when you are able to speak to that person or speak to yourself to encourage you out of that mess. Because in my mess, I still found through 2020, I learned to find the good in everybody. So anything that happens now, I always gravitate to find the good first.
That's good.
I do not look at, oh, Jesus, why I get like that?
Mhm.
My first thought, honestly, and it could be small, I'm going to find the good in it. And for me, that's the balancing factor of affirming yourself first. You're not going to be drawn or swayed by the negative first. You find that, hey, today may not be a good day, but guess what? I am more than a conqueror, or I am this, I am that. You speak to yourself
Yeah.
on those days when I don't feel like telling me, don't say nothing to me. I don't even want to talk to
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
On those days when I feel weak hearted, on those days when I feel like if I can't go another minute, on those days when I'm at my
Yeah.
weakest and my wit is point, I realize that guess what? Girl, you were always strong enough. You were
Yes.
always this person. This was always in you.
Yeah.
Just wake that up. Wake that little strong girl up. She's strong,
Mhm.
She's strong. And like I said at the beginning, you don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only option.
Most
When you
definitely.
relinquish everything, as you realize, girl, you better pick yourself up and get yourself together because you're strong.
Yeah.
Live that and walk that as opposed to just saying it. And it is my
Yes.
prayer that in reading this, they not just become words, but they become your lifestyle to realize that, hey, today I don't feel beautiful, but girl, I beautiful. You
Mhm.
you then begin to live this. You're not entitled to anything. Affirming yourself doesn't entitle you to a better lifestyle. Affirming you doesn't exempt you from process.
That's
Affirming you doesn't
good.
exempt you from not having a death in your family. Affirming you doesn't make you feel as if
Yeah.
I'm a failure. That doesn't exempt you from anything. What that does is that equips the woman within and make her feel as if in the midst of it, I can. In the midst of the storm, I will. In the midst of the rough seas, I have a sailor and I'm able to navigate myself to a safe shore.
That's
Like in the
good.
midst of it, it helps me to believe that, hey, while I'm in it, I can go
Mm.
through it. I'm not going to die here. I'm not going to fall here. That's what this affirmation does.
Yes.
It equips the
Yes.
individual. It doesn't entitle you to no reward. No reward. Because some people go through life with no rewards. They never see, or like how people say, give you give you their flower, give you your
While
flowers while you're
you're
alive.
yeah.
Some people never see flowers because their
Yeah.
life is constantly filled with with trouble, with trauma. They never say, God, I can't even catch a break.
Wow.
But it's if within you you have something that says, girl, get up. Sarah Jake say, girl, get up, girl, get up.
Yeah.
If within you you have those words constantly playing in your head, you are resilient. Girl, you strong. Girl, you growing. Girl, you're becoming. Girl, keep going.
Yeah.
We need those constant reminders. And if it's not coming from yourself, please get a tribe who telling you that.
Yes, most definitely. Telsey says humility brings the balance, and Deli McDonald says, "You preaching woman, and I'm here for it all." You know, it's so amazing that you talk about how we talk to ourselves is so important, and I know that a lot of people, when they think affirmation, they only think positive things. There's something that I say to myself every day. It's an alarm that goes off on my phone, and it says, "I make mistakes."
Mhm.
That doesn't seem like something
And that
positive
is good.
um to be saying to yourself every day, but I have to remind myself every day that I make mistakes, because there's this temptation to always be perfect,
Mhm.
to always get everything right. And then when we don't get everything right, sometimes is when we could kind of fall apart and be like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, like how did I?
Mhm.
And I have this tendency to beat up on myself a little bit too much
Mhm.
when things don't quite go the way that I expected it to go. So every day around 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
Mhm.
my phone lights up and it says, I make mistakes. And I
Mhm.
remember, like, it's okay. So when that mistake actually like
Mhm.
happens, when I make the mistake, I don't sit down and beat up myself about it.
I am
I'm like,
perfectly
you know what?
imperfect.
It's okay.
And there's a
I make
part
mistakes. It
there's
is
a
what it
part it is what it is.
is.
There's a part in the book that I speak about giving yourself the grace to slip and fall. You're not gonna
Yes, it's
always
really
walk.
good.
You're
Yeah.
gonna trip one day. One day you go walk right out here. There may be a rock or something that trip you up. That's going to happen. You're going to do that
And it's
sometimes.
okay.
And it's okay. Give yourself, we as women don't do that because we feel, again, that we have to be the perfect picture for everybody, the superwoman in every situation. However, superwoman on the TV is not the superwoman in your house because
Mm-hmm.
she had no mistake. She had to save the day and do everything, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you go home and you take that cape off, give yourself, even with that cape on, give yourself the grace to slip and fall. God didn't make you to be perfect.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
sent you, or we are imperfect beings, but He is a perfect God.
Yeah.
He didn't send you to
Yeah.
save the no day, say heal no world. That's His job.
He is savior.
He is Savior because why?
He is
If we were
Savior.
perfect, why we need Him?
It's true.
And then two, if we come as whole beings, if we're not sick, why we need a healer?
Why?
If we come as whole beings, if we're not in sin, why we need a deliverer? We need deliverance.
Yeah.
So if we
Constantly.
come to Him with
Yeah.
perfect situations, perfect lives, even in the church, if we come presenting, why do we need a Savior?
Yeah.
He came to be and to do all of these things for us. And it's not for you to continue to do it and condone it in your life. However, there would be no need for Him if there were all of these slips and falls
Yes.
that we didn't have
Yes.
to take.
Yes. Yes.
So give yourself the grace and the space to not get it right all the time.
I think it's so important that at the core of this conversation is that we have better conversations with ourselves.
Yes.
That we speak to ourselves in healthy ways, because we've been saying it. We're not just, oh my gosh, girl, you're so amazing, you're so wonderful, you're beautiful, you're fabulous,
Mhm.
you're it. But we're telling ourselves some hard truths when we
Yes.
affirm ourselves. We're
Mhm.
telling ourselves, okay, hey, sweetie, boo, honey, that was dumb.
Mhm.
Don't do that no more.
Okay.
And in talking to ourselves and speaking to ourselves, we have to be honest with where we're at. We have to be honest with the situation that we're in. We have to tell the truth
Mhm.
in affirming, because then what's the point if we're lying?
Okay. And some of us live for the lie.
We do.
We live for the lie. We live so much for and in the lie that when life happens, like life really unfolds, we in
Mhm.
shambles because you was believing all of that was a lie the
Exactly.
whole
The
time, and
entire
you
time.
sit here, but you thought that was true. Eh?
And
Okay.
that's why I think Yasmin's question is so important, because we could affirm ourselves so much in a positive way, that we begin to feel like we're entitled, that it
Mhm.
becomes this facade of a life that we live, not just a facade we put on in
Mhm.
situations or
Mhm.
circumstances, but then we go through life with a poker face, not realizing that, like, no, there are some things that you need to say to yourself that don't seem to be positive in nature, but you're affirmed by the truth when you recognize that, like, listen, sweetie, you should not have dated that guy.
You should not.
You should have left that. And you knew better.
Mhm.
And I think that's the hard part for us, because we have a tendency to be extreme in
Mhm.
nature. We either go all the way positive or all the way negative. We don't really want to strike that balance in ensuring that the truth superintends
Mhm.
our conversations with ourselves, about ourselves, to
Mhm.
ourselves. And I think that is probably the most beautiful part of this journey, in affirming ourselves as women, is accepting the truth but living it out in a way where, like, it's not so extreme, so
Yes.
you're not so negative, you're not so positive, but that there's this beautiful mixture of, okay, sweets, you did a really good job today, but tomorrow don't do that, because
Mhm.
you saw what happened when you did that.
Mhm.
That didn't make
That
any
didn't make
sense. But
sense.
no, this other thing that you did,
That
that
was
was
on
really good.
point. Mm.
Do that again. Do that again.
Mhm.
And wear that again. Don't wear that no more.
And then all of our truths are different.
Yes.
So the truths that Marisha has to accept, Raquel has a different set of truths to accept.
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
understanding my truth,
Yeah.
living in my truth.
Yeah.
It's understanding that I'm affirming. I'm not affirming nobody else's life,
Mm-mm.
but mine. So as accepting those truths, affirming that hey girl, you're different. You gotta live for that or what?
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We want to
And it's
conform,
okay.
and it's okay. It's totally okay.
It's okay. I think, and Raquel could definitely attest to this. I spent a lot of years in high school trying to fit in.
Mhm.
Oh, Jesus.
Mhm.
I look back at the person I used to be, and I'd be
Mhm.
like, Marisha, why was you even trying me? Like, that just did not make any
Any
sense.
sense?
But of course, because of pressures and
Mhm.
because of what's around us, a lot of times we have this desire to fit in. Um, my story is, I've never fit in anywhere I've gone.
Mhm.
I've always
Mhm.
been odd.
And it's not until adulthood that you realize that was okay.
Yeah.
I was stupid then, but
Like,
really and truly,
it's okay. Like,
yeah.
it's okay that, like, you don't fit, that you stand out. In fact, it's so interesting. Yasmin commented, I remember a conversation that she and I had when we were on a Danzarole and Friends trip. We were in Freeport. And she said to me, she's like, stop trying to adjust yourself to people. Just be you, man.
Be you.
Be you. Like, just be you. You are
Mhm.
fabulous. Be you.
Mhm.
If people don't like your fabulousness, then they don't like your fabulousness.
And
Just
that's okay.
just be you. I think sometimes for us, acceptance can drive us to do some things to ourselves that's not healthy,
Not at all.
all for the sake of somebody saying, I like you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then after they say, I like you, then what?
Then what? Because tomorrow they may not like you.
Because we humans, we some inconsistent people. It's something that I pray all the time, and I always thank God for. It's like, God, thank you for your constancy. Thank you that you are faithful. Thank you that you never change.
You are not
Like,
like
you
that.
don't change your mind. Like, I thank him for it every day, because I so wishy-washy.
Okay.
One day I like fries, the next day I don't like
want
them.
it.
1 week I like rice, the next week I decide, no, boo, I don't eat rice. Sorry. 1 week I drinking soda, the next week I'm sorry, I don't drink
Only
soda
water.
anymore. Only water. Like, what? Like, we are so inconsistent
Mm-hmm.
as human beings, and so we're trying to get inconsistent human beings to like us, and we base our lives, we base our worth
Mm-hmm.
on an inconsistent human being's opinion, and
Sure.
that's just not smart.
And a lot of times it's because of the circle that they're in.
Yeah.
So we feel as if, because they're in this particular circle, they are of a certain standard. Oh, please, what?
Who?
Girl, you don't know what that girl doing when she
Right.
go home and close her door.
And you don't know what's really going on in
You
that
don't know what's
circle either.
really
You don't
going
know what the
on.
real deal is. So I think it's so important for us to strike that balance, but also recognize, man, listen, that person who you thought you had to like absolutely had to get their approval of, and you had to be included in that group of
Check them out
people.
now.
Where they at?
Go back to your school days and
Miss
them same circles
Jesus!
you was trying to fit in. Could you tell me where three of them are now?
Nope.
Okay.
Can't even tell you.
Okay.
But I will tell you this: they calling me to sing to their wedding,
Okay. All right.
and people's
Okay.
funeral and things and
Okay.
stuff like that. And so you just, it's amazing the way that life develops. And I listen to you talk about what you're attempting to do with these girls, and I think it's so important because when I think about who I was as a girl, if someone had affirmed me when I was younger, I know for a fact I'd be a whole lot further in life. Now the rest of y'all just go through life lying because y'all just make it seem like you don't miss opportunities and like there's no such thing as delay, and that things don't necessarily always pan out the way that we wanted to, because y'all live in this world where
Bubble.
like everything is just this, how it happened was how it's supposed to happen. No, stop your lies, tell the truth. You missed that opportunity, and the opportunity is not coming back. If there were some things that you learned when you were younger, it would have saved you from some mistakes that you made now at the age that you're at now.
Indeed.
And we like to make it seem, well, the Bible says that all things work together. Yeah, all things work together for good, but sometimes
But you missed that.
you
one.
miss
You
you miss things and you can't get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's so important for us to ensure that as we influence the generations to come, as women, we have been called to nurture. So that means that we have influence on the generations to come. We can't avoid that. Even for those women who never have the opportunity to give birth to a child, you still have influence on the next generation. I think it's so important for us to recognize the things that we struggled with,
Yes.
and to ensure that the generations after us don't end up in that same struggle.
Right.
And the only way that can happen is if we are honest
And open.
about what that struggle really
was.
was like, because we don't like to tell the truth all the time because we want to make it seem like we got it all together. And I know who we're trying to impress.
No, that's because our lives, like I remember the launch of the book, at the launch, we spoke about the same thing. And I mentioned how, the older people in the church now, they don't really talk to the younger people anymore because I am so holy that I can't tell you I was a little nothing, or I did all of this in my youth because I am the most holy of the holies in the church.
Your wedding anniversary is 46 and your son 48.
Okay. Okay. I'm not about to tell you all of that. I'm not about
Exactly.
to, because you see me as this person, but that is our problem.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, like I said, your story or what you would consider your failure, your mishaps, that's someone else's roadmap. Someone else walking down that
Yes.
same road, you could use
And they need to hear
and
your
they
story.
need that. That encourages me that, hey, you are this now, and I have the capacity and the potential to get there. But if you refrain, if you just don't say anything and make me to believe that you were born this way, I woke up like this, then we have another thing coming. And that's why the generations, we don't speak about it, because the older persons don't engage no more. They
I
don't
definitely
want
don't wake up like this. I don't know about you.
okay. So at the end of the day, because the older persons aren't willing to disclose, then I ain't telling you go in your bedroom. I didn't tell you to give me all that. Now, if you do, that helps me too.
Yes.
However, we're not really ready to disclose the real truths of where we've been.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I probably was dating someone's husband. But now that look bad if I tell you that, because I am
a deaconess.
I have a minister.
Yeah.
I read a caller in church.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to know that's where I've been.
Yeah.
However, that's someone's roadmap. Who in your church, in the youth ministry, on
And
that
they need
same
to
path.
know. They need to know.
This married man keep texting them, but they want one answer, or they're answering, but because mom never tell me this what I used to do too, and this what I did,
Right.
and don't go that way, I still can't go because nobody telling me nothing.
Right. I think it's weird for us to even sometimes, I think, understand the kind of impact that our stories can have, because our perspective is one of negativity. We look at it as such a failure that we want to hide it.
A lot of time it's embarrassment too.
And the thing that I love about what the word of God says, it says in the book of Revelation, and they overcame
Hmm.
him, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of
Words.
their testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the only way that that shame and that guilt can die,
Mm-hmm.
when we testify, listen, I did this. This
Been
is what
there.
happened when I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Take my word for it.
Don't go that road.
It is not what you think it is. It's not going to benefit you. And also, to as women, don't judge me. Listen
Mm-mm.
to
Mm-mm.
me.
Mm-mm.
Listen to me. Raquel, I had this this thing I used to do. I used to say, "Oh, I'd never do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how people is
Fit-
find themselves in these situations." And I was very, very, very judgmental at a point in time in my life, until life happened to me.
Uh-huh. Walk in that same road.
Until I found myself not just walking down that same road, but walking down that same road several times.
Wow.
And then I said to myself, and you were sitting there in judgment of this person, dogging them out, and look at you.
And they done off the road. You still
They
in cycles. Your road.
they got it together now. They living their best life. You sitting here stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get over this. Can't get past that. Can't seem to break the same cycle. Careful when we sit in the judgment seat and say what we will never do.
Right.
And this, for me, it comes in line with how we affirm ourselves with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some of us, a takeaway from today is you need to start having conversations with yourself, telling yourself, "Boo, you make mistakes.
Right.
You
The truth
ain't
hurts,
perfect."
but it also heals.
And it exposes things that tend to be hidden
Mm-hmm.
when we don't tell ourselves the truth. Because at the core of lying to yourself is a facade that you're walking around with, and you're being pretentious. You're not speaking the truth. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not living the truth. And so you can't have genuine relationships with people because you're lying.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, no one really has a genuine relationship with
With
you,
you.
because you haven't presented the true, real you to anybody. And so I think it's so important for us to not judge, to be truthful in our conversations with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but to understand how important it is to just be good to yourself,
Mhm.
man. And understand that being good to yourself means sometimes you have to say the hard things to
Yes.
yourself
Indeed.
in the most difficult of situations. Y'all be getting ready to come out of here. This has been an amazing conversation. Raquel, let us know where we can get this book.
So the book is, you can find the book, well, any of my social media outlets. So it would be Instagram, Cal Mins,
Mm-hmm.
or Raquel Mins on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
The book is also available on Amazon, no local bookstores, and it's also available at Trinity City of Praise, my local church.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I am so excited to dive into this book. And the foreword of the book was written by Apostle Gale, so I'm excited to dive in. I'm one of those weird people who reads forewords and introductions. I always like to see what people have to say about the book before I read it. And so I'm excited to dive in. So listen, I believe in supporting kingdom women. And I think that it's not going to hurt you to have 31 days of affirmations. So get this book. Get this book. Hit Raquel up. Her Instagram tag is right there at the bottom of the screen. So you can hit up on Instagram, look up Raquel Mins on Facebook. You can check her out. Or you could, is your website active? It's on the back here.
Yes, it's not on the website as yet. I'm
Okay.
uploading it there, but the
Okay.
website is there.
So if you'd like more information, you could check our website out. I'm just so grateful that we had this opportunity to have this conversation
Yes,
today.
ma'am.
I am just blessed and encouraged just by your presence alone. So I can't wait to dive into this book. We want to say congratulations to our winner today, Telsey. Telsey won the book today. So Telsey, you know how to get in contact with us. We have a book for you. Congratulations. For those of you who tuned into the show today, listen, and who I know y'all was missing us. So glad that we're back. We back in full swing, y'all. I promise y'all. Hopefully, we ain't taking no more breaks no time soon. I ain't gonna lie to y'all because I might take a break in November, but just for 1 week. But listen, it's good to be back. We got some more great shows coming your way. I cannot believe it. Some people that have consented to come on Girl Talk, y'all. Like my mind is blowing. So next week here on Girl Talk, my girl, why am I? Okay, there we go. My girl Keishelle Davis is coming. We're going to be talking about problems and solutions. That one's going to be good. So she's going to be here next week. That is the 30th. Wow. It's the 30th already. My goodness. And then after that, Sandina is coming in. And we're going to be talking about hindsight. That should be interesting. And then, of course, coming up on October 14th, Ayana Cartwright is going to be here in studio, and I'm excited. And then the following week, we're going to be talking to my girl, Cara Newton out of Freeport. We're going to be talking about suicide. So we got some really, really great shows coming up. And so I'm going to encourage you guys to tune in to the show every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, thank you so much for listening. Special shout outs to Pastor Pauline, the most fabulous woman ever. Hey, Shaquinda, and all of you who tuned in. Oh my goodness. Hey, Janae. Janae's tuned in. Janae Lightborn.
Hi, Janae.
Thank you, ladies, so much for tuning in. Listen, don't forget to like and share the show. Share the show with a friend, someone who you know could be blessed by this conversation, could be encouraged by this conversation. Definitely share this video with them. Listen, y'all, get you some good girlfriends. You could need her. You could need that girlfriend who could be that shoulder for you to lean on, who could be the iron to sharpen iron, who can be the strength that you need, the encourager that you need, but also don't forget to be that girlfriend. Don't forget to be the encourager. Don't forget to be the iron that sharpens iron. Don't forget to be the shoulder that someone can lean on. Your girlfriends need you. Find your tribe, boo. You're going to need to get you some good girlfriends.
Love them hard.
You're going to need them. Oh, my goodness, y'all. Time has come and gone. But listen, Raquel, we definitely have to have you back sometime soon. And we'll definitely talk about that some more in the future, y'all. It's time to go.
It's time.
It's time to go. Parting is such sweet sorrow. But we'll see you guys next week, same time, same place, with another amazing show, y'all. Have an awesome weekend. See y'all next week.
Find a tribe.